What's up, guys, and welcome to the One Realm Podcast. I'm your host, Diego, alongside my co-host, Thomas.
Morning.
And it's finally time for us to talk about one of my personal favorite games in the series, Deception. This is a game, I guess we can just go ahead and jump straight into our backstory with it. And this is, apart from the first three games, MK1, 2, and 3, the first game that I played in my quote-unquote renaissance with Mortal Kombat. And this is the first game that I have truly vivid memories of actually playing as a kid. When this came out, what year was it? 2002. I want to say
Or
four. Okay, so this came out, and I was already 10 years old. And much like I've said before in some of the other videos, we used to rent a lot of games from Blockbuster. Rest in peace. And this is one of them. I remember.
let me
Sorry, what?
sorry for rephrase that and make her correct myself right now. 2003, like I said this was a part of the game period of midway when every year they put out a new game. So
That's right.
2002 was Daily Line, 2003 was Deception. So I want to rephrase that real quick.
Okay.
But yeah, go ahead.
Yep. No, that's clear. Yeah, we used to rent games from Blockbuster all the time, and I'll never forget playing through at least not all of it, but a large part of it through Conquest mode and getting stuck on the Sub-Zero portion. That's how shit I was. I couldn't get past the Sub-Zero tutorial.
Tutorial.
You know, you know what I mean, where they teach you the combos and stuff like that, where you learn his moves.
Oh, Conquest.
Yeah, in Conquest mode. Yeah, I couldn't get past that part, so I ended up. Uh, I don't remember how long we kept it for, but that's pretty much where I got to when we had it rented. But of course, I bought it and went through plenty of it. Unchained is also a great game. I would say probably the best game on the PSP that I played, just because it had extra content, extra characters, Shao Kahn, etc. Um, and yeah, just I have nothing but good memories about this game. Some a little bit weird, which we'll talk about later on, but overall, a very very positive memory for this game.
No, that's all. How the first time I had to play this game was really disturbing, but still, like I said, any other game, like I said, I think at this point we both can agree to at least most of the games of the 3D era that we had to play. It's like our little renaissance, like uh, learning how to play more combat, and at least playing it because like we were just too young to play the other ones when they first came out. Versus this one where we're old enough and our parents just didn't care to make sure we didn't play into those games. But um, yeah, this is like the first game I actually tried to play on my own, but mind you, like I had no concept of how to like get stuck on the same thing. But you got further than I did with the original the first one you got because I could not get past doing XXY when it came to um the conquest with Sujinku.
So the very beginning, basically.
Oh yeah, like you get past the first. There's like in conquest there's like different training areas you go to. First one's easy. Hit this button, dash, which was hard for me then. Walk forward three times, walk back three times, block. That was easy, but then it's like start hitting these buttons at the same time. That's where it got crazy. I will say this though: the first time you play the game is not as fun nor memorable as what it was years later. And I say this because the first time I played it, the very first thing I tried was puzzle combat, which made no sense to me as a second grader in elementary school. Which I still play more combat, and I remember have fond memories of my mom literally picking up the game stick and she'll just she would never rush through them because it took a lot of work to like do the conquest. But she did 90% of the whole conquest by herself,
Damn.
and we had to watch her play as growing up, and that's like so I'm not gonna say like, that way from my like that is one of my fonder memories of playing video games with her because she doesn't play often. Even recently when I rebought Deception and I had my original Xbox, I told her like, hey, what I got. So once this stuff turns out and her immune system gets back in order as well, I'm definitely bringing it over there just so she can play it because she enjoyed like that's one game she's enjoyed playing. But when I say the more recent memory I have and better memory, um, so imagine, so like I said, I used to go. I didn't mention this before, but I used to like visit college campus almost every weekend. My best friend went there, and I ended up pretty much living there for a little bit as well. So I brought my Xbox. I brought my Xbox 360, where you could play the if it had Xbox Live with it on the Xbox game, you could play it on the Xbox 360. That's the only you cross compatible with it.
Mm-hmm.
Playing not compatible.
Backwards compatible.
His name the word. Yes, there we go. Backwards compatible. Um, so I bring up the my Xbox One first, and we're playing Mortal Kombat X, and everyone's loving it. To the point, and it's like this is a Christian college as well, so everyone I'm assuming gonna be prudish, like uptight, like oh blood, no. So I didn't want to waste my time bringing it there. Well, my best friend loves it, and then a guy who lived next door to him loved it as well. But he's Diego. When I say he sucked, man.
Really, he's like
Like
just pure garbage.
me, second grade suck.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oof.
So that being said, though, um, it was like we had like a cult following though because it started with just everyone coming and see MKX and like everyone was like, "Whoa, this is violent! I love it! I want to play it." Then we were doing the conquest mode for Deception, and I remember waking up. I'd be at work at 10. I remember waking up at 3 in the morning and find out 6 in the morning and see my friend trying to play it, and he sucked at it still. And I said, "We're stuck on this XXY one." He is. I had to get up, grab the remote, take it, press the inputs in for the next 3 combos, and then went back to sleep and go ready for work.
Poor bastard.
I was so angry too. So yeah, we had a cult following though because it was me, my friend Caleb, his neighbor Chris, his neighbor Zai, and about since there was 3 of us, so I want to say either that's 4 of us. I want to say there were about 4 other people, or at least 3 other people. And we were playing more session. We're going to the story mode. We're going to the green beacons of light. We're going to each realm and doing it to the point where we make it all the way to the end of this conquest mode, and we have only a few more fights left. I know we have a few more fights left too, but it's like we're stuck fighting Tanya because you're so used to playing with the other characters that you train with, and we'll get more details when we talk about conquest. But the whole point with Sujinku is that you would train with a character, and then the next fight you have, you'll fight with that character until you train with someone else. Well, they did a switch on you and made you play as Jinko when you fight against Tanya, and he has no special moves. The last time you played with him was there at the beginning of the game, and you have to fight Tanya, who can go invisible, throw fireballs, do like a little drill. Then it has a whole 3D engine as well. So going from MKX to MK Deception is just impossible, really, smoothly. And it took us all about 4 tries each for somebody to finally beat her. We do the next training session. We go and finish with Sindel. We're almost done again. We literally had to beat Monster. We had to beat Scorpion. We're done now. And we can't beat him. It's like you did that when we win 3 matches in a row. And we finally said, no, hit pause, we'll save it. Tomorrow we'll pick up from where we left off. So I go back to college. I go to school. Everyone goes to sleep. Everyone goes to school, go to classes. And out of the 7 of us who played the game normal, like every night, we're stuck on this. Out of the 7 of us, the guy who's literally the most responsible, the oldest of all of us, skipped class, quote unquote, broke into my best friend's dorm room, got the game on, started playing. He's one that you would think he didn't like it at all the most. But he's playing the game and he beats it. He even takes out his phone to report the ending for everyone as well. And like it was like I get why, because that was like a moment that everyone was supposed to share. And I already know what happened. I beat it before my own. But this is the first time I play Mortal Kombat with other people and see like other people's reacting to it. And he takes out his phone, he records the ending, sends it to everyone via text and stuff. And I'm just like, wow. The only thing I'm upset about, I was just like, I did this. Well, Mortal Kombat did this to us. The most responsible out of all of us. He's the only one I didn't expect someone to do that with. Everyone else I expect to we just fuck up and not do it, but he's the only one I didn't expect to skip class to do so.
I guess it just
And
kind of
I
goes to
was,
show how good the game is.
oh yeah. I mean, that's it. We didn't ever really play player the PvP or go against the arcade tower or anything. It was literally just the conquest.
I mean, there was so much content
And
to it, so much exploration. It was so fun, so much character to it. It just made it an absolute
here's
joy to play.
here's the thing though. Like I was the only true fighting game person there at the time. My other friend, my best friend, he loved Call of Duty games like that, but he loved more from Deception. That's the only one he remembered playing. And um, all right, my other friend Zai, he was his whole thing, and he literally wanted this away somehow. When we play MKX, he would literally all he would do is jump and do an uppercut with Sub Zero and win. He would actually win a whole online game just doing that uppercutting.
I mean, to be fair,
He made you fight,
it
he
is
made freeze,
efficient.
but he mostly just uppercutted.
I mean, depending on who you
Well,
go
that's what I
against,
mean.
you
Though.
it'll definitely work pretty often.
But that's like it literally. But like I said, I don't have much experience with any other games. Like, there's some other like funny moments I might have with the game, like what my uncle used to call um, Onaga, which we're not going to mention on air because could be taken the wrong way, and we're not going to be like challenge today. I'll tell you later.
All right.
Um, my mom playing the video game like that, playing actual video game with us and enjoying it with us. Um, and then I get to do it by myself. But since I play video games by myself all the time, so it wasn't that big of a deal for me being in story mode. But it wasn't until like I said, because like I said, I beat before I did that with them. I beat on my own right before I graduated high school, and it wasn't as fun or memorable. I did it in 3 days, but again, something that took like a literal weeks to do because everyone had like their own busy life and everyone came there every time that same day. Even if it's after 10 o'clock where everyone should be starting to sleep because they have school the next day. It was like literally like this is like the highlight of our day right now.
I
And the
mean,
fact that we corrupted a guy so bad to finally just skip class and do this. It doesn't warm my heart up anymore.
yeah, I could definitely see why. That's one of the things that kind of annoy me a little bit is that I don't have like my brother. He doesn't like fighting games. He doesn't. He doesn't particularly care for Mortal Kombat. Like he doesn't. I would say probably among fighting games is probably the one he likes the most. But he doesn't really care about it too much. So I don't really have a friend or a group of friends that I can have experiences like that. Now I've had that with other games, but never Mortal Kombat, which of course is the one I would like to have that with. Now I've never actually tried playing Deception with anybody other than my brother. So maybe if I introduce them to something like that, then they would actually like it because I think the beauty of MK Deception is the fact that having a mode like Conquest mode, you don't just attract pure fighting game fans, you attract people who like adventure genres. It's kind of like, I'm not going to say it's like Zelda, but it's kind of like that. It's got like this open world vibe to it. Then, of course, once you do the fights, then you actually are fighting, like you would be in arcade, but it's everything around it that attracts a different audience as opposed to the just your generic fighting game fan.
All right. And that's the thing too. I think when you play by yourself, and like I think that's one thing that me and you are very fortunate for. I mean, if I get Xbox, I'm not Xbox. If I get PlayStation, I'm pretty sure I can play MK11, X, and 9 with people all day long off Discord. But because I have an Xbox, and me and you literally have it's surprising that we don't do it more often. Like we both know why, but I think once we finally found each other with like once we started talking to each other and knowing how much we actually both love Mortal Kombat, I think we would have. If I wasn't working all the time and you vice versa with you, and obviously a 7 hour difference, people have played Mortal Kombat more often and talk shit more often than we already do.
That's for damn
But
sure.
it's just like, oh yeah. And like I said, once you find that person you can actually play this game with, it changed your whole emotional state. It's like, this is great. I can't wait to go home or go back to my dorm and start playing again.
Yeah, like even right now, I have MK11 in the background trying to get achievements and stuff like that. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like MK11 isn't even a great game. That's just like that. We'll talk about that some other time. We've already talked about it more than enough. But still, Mortal Kombat's a big deal for both of us, especially with the movie coming out so soon. But trying to stay a bit on topic, you brought something up earlier that kind of got me thinking. Like you said, your mom loved Deception, right? And she played through it a bunch, and that was
Mm-hmm.
one of the one of your fondest memories of gaming as a kid and stuff like that. Well, me and my brother, and he's about to join the military, so he's going to be going to the U.S. Whenever all this stuff passes and whenever he's able to go there. So we've been playing a lot of games that we used to play as kids, and one of the ones we just started playing recently was Scooby Doo Night of 100 Frights, which is actually a really really solid game. And of course, my mom walked by and she saw us playing it, and that was one of the games alongside like Indiana Jones and Crash Bandicoot that she used to play with us all the time. And she was watching us, and unfortunately she was busy, but had brought back a lot of memories, and would have been really fun to play. And it's very similar to what you were talking about with your mom. Like if you show the game to her, she's gonna have some really fun memories too. So games like this,
Well, this is
they
another
they
thing
really
too,
do
Kevin.
have a lot of value for us.
Yeah, and this thing too. 'Cause I don't think I told you this story before, but when my so I used to have quote unquote anger issues. Don't sure where that came from, but um, one time they changed my therapist one day. The person would come home and like talk to me and walk around with me, stuff like that. And they changed her with somebody else, and she saw the woman who they changed her with saw my mom playing Mortal Kombat, and she's like, maybe you shouldn't like play those type of games in front of him. And like instantly, like I didn't even know she said it. But my mom told me she said that, and it was just like, well, that's stupid. And my mom's like, yeah, that's what I said as well. And we're back to my old therapist. But the whole point was just like literally, like my mom saw like what this game meant for me. It wasn't like I said, it wasn't causing me having anger issues. It was other BS. I was angry for other reasons. If anything, Warcraft might help me deal with those anger issues. But no, it's like that. She had my back even back then when, like I said, a lot of parents at that point was like, "Oh, this game is too violent for children, so we shouldn't let them play it." Well, she was like, "Well, his dad plays it, I play it, his siblings play it, and he plays it, and he loves it more than any of us. So that's not gonna happen."
Yeah, good job to her. I mean, that's I feel like that's probably the best way to do it. I mean, like also, and I also haven't definitely had anger issues, but never really did anything absurd with it. I mean, worst I did was I punched a glass door or something like that and broke it. But maybe I had some like very very small fights with my brother and stuff like that. But that's just all normal stuff for a preteen slash teen. So all that's just kind of normal, and you just have to understand like there are certain things that aren't really gonna affect you. I feel like video games, unless you're a very specific type of person to where that can really have a big influence on you, then sure. But if you're that kind of person, you shouldn't really be consuming that kind of media in general, not just video games. And I definitely feel like for anybody who's not that kind of person, violent video games or movies, stuff like that, they won't have any effect on you. And like you said, they can actually help you out. Like if you're having a bad day, beating the shit out of somebody in Mortal Kombat can actually go a long way. You take out your anger and frustrations on something else.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess
I think
that's kind
everyone's
of
always trying to.
yeah. Sorry,
Yeah.
good.
No, so that everyone's always trying to saying that that's the issue. It's like, no, teaching your kids to do something useful with their energy is the issue. If you don't do it the right way, you just let them hold it, then yeah, it's a problem.
Yeah, I feel like there's a fine line between teaching your kids, and of course, neither one of us have kids, so we're not the best people necessarily to talk about it. But I feel like there's a very very fine line between teaching somebody what violence is and exposing them to it in the right way, as opposed to having them just kind of I don't know, to like experience it in the wrong way. Like if I feel like if you're watching, just a simple example, like if you're watching a Bruce Lee movie or something like that, Bruce Lee does kill people. Bruce Lee does beat the shit out of people. All right, he breaks their necks. He does a bunch of stuff like that. If you're watching it like that and somebody's explaining to you, what's going on and stuff like that, then it's easier for you to understand the difference and like a difference between fake violence in a movie or in a video game and the consequences not being real, as opposed to something an actual fight in real life, how so many things can change for so many people and stuff like that. It's better. I just feel like there's it's a fine line between a parent doing things the right way and a parent doing things the wrong way. And I guess Mortal Kombat can be a similar thing. If somebody's like, oh wow, that's cool, somebody snapped their neck. I feel like you have to be a very sadistic person to want to just go out and break somebody's neck randomly. There has to be something really deep for you to do that. But that's a whole different rant. I guess that's kind of it
All
for
right.
our backstories with the game. I feel like both of us have very, very positive memories of it, and I think that pretty much everybody agrees that this is actually one of the best games. I don't think I've ever seen anybody. Of course, it has its problems. There's no doubt about that, but I don't really think I've seen anybody go off on it brutally, calling it a shit game and stuff like that. All right, shall we go on to the gameplay? Because there's really not too much to say about it, and we have already kind of talked about fatalities and the brutality and stuff like that. Why don't you
Well, there's a
take us
couple
away
of
with
things
the
to add to it.
gameplay?
There's a couple of things we need to add to that because, well, one, I can go ahead and say that the roster is a little bit bigger, and I think the details on that just yet. But the only bad thing, to take back what you said earlier, like the only bad thing I hear about this game is the roster, like the new character roster is not as good. Like where four have like all the characters look interesting as a lot, and you want to see them more, and then the one got pursued. Deception, same thing where they tied up all their storylines with the new characters, and if they didn't get tied up, they brought them to a new game. Where in Deception, like there was just not that, like new characters just don't feel it there, like eh. But gameplay wise, there what only thing I can say is like yeah, fighting style wise, like they still have the three moves and the three different move sets. So you have the your primary your one you have two martial arts and one weapon. Now on this time around, you can do the throw on all three styles, so that's one good thing. There's no more impaling because they realized that was like a broken system. And to say like who's able to stab somebody and who's not is kind of unfair. And there's only one person who didn't have a weapon, and that was New Smoke, because it was two characters in one. But outside of that, though, you definitely want to mention, like I said, gameplay. The gameplay wise, everything was the same. Uh, they finally added the uppercuts and the sweeps for all the characters, the moves that they were missing. Special moves were a lot more this time around. Um, just looking at it, pick the character from you pick to click on.
Right now I have Sub-Zero up.
Okay, Sub-Zero. Yes.
His special
One,
moves, you mean?
two. Yeah, he only had three special moves, but I feel like, and that's the same amount he had. I think either the same amount or less he had in the last one. But a lot of other characters got uh, they have their old special moves back, or they have more this time around versus just two. But
Well,
let me see. Let me look at Scorpion.
like you said earlier, this was when they were releasing a game each year, and of course, Deadly Alliance and Deception are essentially the same game from a gameplay point of view. But like you said, they added more moves, and they added a lot of the just basic moves like uppercuts and leg sweeps that were needed, and they added fatalities. So basically they took Deadly Alliance and they expanded on it. Of course, they had an extra year so they could do more things, but they didn't really, innovate anything in terms of gameplay because, of course, in 1 year, yes, you can add stuff, but you can't really do anything crazy in terms of,
Revamp.
yeah, you can't revamp a system and really
Revamp.
do too much with it. But with the improvements that they did make, I feel like were very, very important, and they definitely improved the experience. Like if you're playing Deadly Alliance, there's a lot of stuff missing. You can notice it very, very fast. Whereas if you're playing Deception, it feels like it's a decent system. I feel like it's kind of like MK1 and MK2. MK2, it's pretty much MK1's gameplay, but it's a bit more fluid. It just kind of works a bit better, and it feels a bit better. Whereas, and I feel like Deadly Alliance and Deception is pretty similar in that point of view.
No, you're right on that too. One thing I would definitely mention though, because you said it last week, I think you said it without realizing it. Um, 'Cause last week you made this quote, you made the what's going on with this?
A statement.
You made the you made the statement saying um taking away Scorpion's teleport would be something crazy and stupid and unreasonable. Well, that's what they did in MK Deadly Alliance.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize it, but my whole point of that thing is they added that back and they realized their mistakes.
Yeah, that's of course an important, and especially because back then there was no DLC or there were no updates as it releases what it remained until they had an updated version, actually completely updating the disc and everything. So there was no adding moves and stuff like that. Yeah, I feel like there was probably, I don't know, maybe they're trying to do something different with Scorpion, but thankfully in this game they added that, and then pretty much all classic moves were in this game, if I'm not mistaken. None of them come to mind that weren't really there. Anything that come to your mind from that point of view? Missing classic special moves?
Um, I think everyone has their classic moves. Um, Snow has her Banshee Scream and Fireball. Sub Zero has Ice Ball and Clone Slide. Well, they gave him the cold shoulder still. Rocco had his Chop Chop inside. And Sparker, I mean. Malia had hers. Scorpion has his. Let me look at Jade real quick. Oh, Havoc. I forgot to mention that's another new character. So there was a total of three, six, I want to say 8 new characters.
Yeah, there were 8, yes. Some great
Yeah, 8.
or very interesting, some not so much. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. One other thing that I want to talk, or two other things I want to talk about in terms of gameplay is that instead of each character only having one fatality like there was in Deadly Alliance and Deception, they had 2 fatalities and the very first time ever and the only time ever a harakiri. Essentially, what harakiri was if the person that lost the fight had the opportunity to basically put in a button combo faster than the person who beat him, and if he was successful in doing so, he could kill himself as opposed to being killed. So, what do you personally think about the harakiri idea?
So I will be honest. When I first saw it, I had no idea what it was. I thought it was just me being so super awesome. I did fatality, but I think it's a good concept, and it was a little like probably too on the nose, but it was fun. I will say that. I
Yeah,
never got to use it per se, but something really cool to watch to see differently.
yeah, I didn't hate it
Um,
at all. I felt like a good thing about
yeah,
it. Sorry to interrupt you. I felt like a good thing about it was that it did give, unlike in every other game, the person who lost an opportunity to actually participate in the post-fight. I wouldn't want to say "quote unquote" festivities. As opposed to you lost, you just have to sit there and take it. If somebody wants to do a fatality, you had the opportunity to actually get a moral victory and beat them to the button combo.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the whole like it was a little. I say it's too on the nose. Just like the whole Japanese thing where it's like I disarm myself, so I disarm my family, so I can kill myself. Like a little too on the nose right there, but I get where you're coming from. But I think it was a cool thing. They're all character specific as well. But I don't think, for example, though, let's see. So I'm clicking on one of the characters that were not in the vanilla version of the game. Did they have it? Yeah, Shao Kahn had one, so that's good. Um, but I don't think the characters from Deadly Alliance that was in Unchained, I don't think they got one. I think they still only have the one fatality.
That I can't. That I
And,
don't know. You talking about Blaze?
well, Blaze, Katana, Frost,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
Jack. I think they
Okay.
only have the one move still. Yeah, it doesn't even show them on there, but I'm pretty sure that they only had the one fatality still.
Yeah, probably. They just kind of put them in there.
That's literally what it was. Like it was literally a copy and paste version.
Yeah, I guess you couldn't
Um,
really expect too much for the PSP. It was already lots they added Goro and Shao Kahn.
yeah. Well, the other thing, the adding Goro and Shao Kahn thing was something that went straight to Nintendo stuff.
Maybe,
I
yeah.
remember seeing,
GameCube and MK
yeah.
Unchained, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Unchained came out after Armageddon. I think with the exception, it had like a little didn't come out fully for it. They had like mixed modifications, but I don't think it was. It kind of makes you wonder like what was the point in doing that as well? Because Xbox still to this day have not ever got a character like only we get this character thing.
Yeah, they never got
I
extra
don't
extra
care,
stuff,
but
yeah.
it's like one of those weird.
Yeah.
But
Another thing I kind of want to talk about for this game in particular, it's not exactly gameplay, but it's something that I think we can definitely appreciate, especially considering how things are nowadays. It's the fact that there are 6, 12, 18, there are actually 22 arenas in this game. Like 22 arenas. Imagine having 22 arenas in MK11. We get like what, 7?
no, we get like 17 this time in 11.
Yeah. Which is definitely a lot more than X.
But
X had like next to none.
yeah, I agree with that one though. But the only thing I will say, another thing too, because they didn't have, as we mentioned before, they didn't have stage fatalities at all in Deadly Alliance. So this one brought in the traps.
Death traps, yeah.
Yeah. And let's
Which,
say a lot of these. Go ahead.
no, I was going to say, which I don't know exactly how you feel about it. I don't think we've ever really talked about the death traps too much. I liked them because they were an extra way to beat your opponent, and they did have that factor to where even if you're winning, if you get your opponent in the right spot, then you still had a chance. Sorry, if you're losing, then you do have a chance of landing that blow. But at the same time, kind of like with fatal blows, I didn't like them too much because, of course, if you are winning, like they're good if you're losing, but if you're winning, then you're like, eh. I mean, like that's kind of bullshit to lose that way, but especially against the computer because the computer was super cheese with them.
Well, so I never had that much issue with that with people with death trap, minus when it came to Onaga and his stage. Like you're already having an issue being Onaga, and you have to like be on the edge to hit the Kamidokus to weaken him. And like I think you're too close to like you're on the edge and he's on the edge, and all you have to do is like one hit and hit you, and then you're falling in little spikes. Then you could be winning, and then like I said, instantly lose that round.
Yeah, it was
But
always a pain in the ass.
on that note, it was like I said, you're right, it's a pain in my ass, but it's just like it came with it. It was some things really good though. Some things really worked with it. But another problem was another thing they did too was add like the extra weapons in the stages.
Ah, that's right. Yeah.
So I'm not sure all of them. I'm trying to like just look at it and see, but I know the Beetle Lair, Sky Temple, the Chamber of Artifacts. Maybe it was just the three. I thought no, and what is it? Kutan Place Palace.
Kutin Palace?
They all have
Yeah. Oh, Kuatan
yeah,
Palace. Yeah, yeah. Kuatan. Yeah.
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 They have an extra weapon you can press. So on Xbox, I believe if you press the white button, then it will let you. Yeah, it will let you grab the weapon. It's like stronger than your other one, I believe, or
Yeah.
just give you another.
I don't know if I liked that too much, to be honest with you.
I'm not sure if it was stronger or not. I've definitely test it out and find out later on. But my what was your favorite stage out of all of them?
Well, I have them popped up right here. The pit looks really good in this
Top three.
one.
How about that?
Top three. All right. I don't remember exactly the names of them, so I'm gonna click on them as I have them. The pit looked great, in my opinion. I liked the just kind of everything about it. Um, the ship. What was the ship called? The Nether ship.
If you just bring your mouse over the highlight over, it will pop up the
It pops
name.
up. Okay, it doesn't seem like it was
Yeah.
popping up. Yeah,
Well,
it's
you just
not popping up on
put
my
your mouse
computer.
over it. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, the Nether
It works
ship.
for me.
I loved the pit. And as for the third one, there was the one where you would like send them just flying. You would basically send them launching. What was that one called? I think it's this one right here.
For that one, I think you were talking about
The Falling
Dragon
Cliffs.
Mount. Oh, Fallen Cliff.
Yeah, I think that's the one
Okay.
like where you like knock them, they go just flying. I
And
could
then
be
just fall
wrong though.
down. Is it like the pit, or is it something like you can send flying?
Yeah, like you go send them like down a cliff. So I think it's this one.
There's two similar to it. Um, because there's the Falling Cliffs where they're like the arena is getting smaller as time goes on.
Yeah, that's the one then. Yeah, because that's where you fight Noob and Smoke, right?
You find new with smoke anywhere.
Okay, okay. Well, I remember them fighting them constantly there. Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. But in general, I think they all look really fucking good, or almost all of them. The Deadpool looks good.
See the thing, I didn't care for like the remastered ones.
Okay.
So like the Pit, Sing Song Palace, Sing Song, what was that?
Throne Room?
Palace or Throne Room? Yeah,
Yeah.
no Courtyard,
Oh, it's Courtyard. Okay.
the Portal, or the Pit. I didn't like those or Living Forest just because I don't know something about them just didn't really appeal to me as much this time around. Now the ones that will so say I like now I'm gonna go ahead and cheat and say five because in no particular order. I love the Fallen Cliffs. Don't get me wrong. Like that's literally like one of the best ones, but it's definitely like the bottom five. Golden Desert,
Okay.
and I think that one. I gotta see because, huh? I gotta see what I thought that was Liu Kang's place, but the Golden Desert, I like that one a lot more. Um, Hale's Foundry,
Okay.
where you knock them down one level and then you can kick them to this little magnum area, and they're literally trying to crawl out, and then it's literally like the press just kills them.
Yeah, they were always fun to watch, weren't they? And they were quick too.
Oh yeah, the Dark Prison was another good one where
Yep.
you see like literally all the. If you didn't play Conquest, you get to see all the old characters through there.
Yeah,
So
I
they
think
every time they're
I think the Living Forest though was definitely pretty trash.
yeah. But you can see all the characters in the Dark Prison just because they all be like put in jail. All your favorite old characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. But literally, like by far, my favorite one is the Sky Temple.
That is a good one, that's for sure. That's for
And
sure.
literally, like if you kick Havoc down from there on the second level, so the first level you just falling down, you hit the roof, and then you bounce off to the ground. If you kick Havoc off the second time, he's literally falling, and he literally says, "This is gonna suck," and then he literally hits the pavement, and his but like everyone's just screaming. But he's literally like, "This is gonna suck."
I do remember that actually. Now that you bring it up, I completely forgot about it. But yeah,
But
that's
the
definitely one of my
music,
favorite ones.
and I think this game I think has my favorite soundtrack.
Yeah, I feel like the 3D era nailed it with that, especially this one. Music wise, this game is
I mean,
great.
because that's the thing, I think I'm getting confused. I might look it up in a second. But like the Lower Mines, that was the theme. That was from like the theme song to the beginning of the game, and I just got done listening to it earlier to the intro to the game, and just every song, like I can just look at the certain places and just like I know the theme song is, and I love it.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. It's the intro, but we forgot to talk about the intro to this game.
Yeah, well, this one doesn't have the intro like that. I think.
What do you mean? Is that the intro?
Well, so what it said, there's two different things. So the intro that we see at the end of the game, we can talk about that because it's not at all. Um, when you look at the game story on Orphan Warehouse, it doesn't say the same. Because I like how Deli Lions
Ah,
and
that's what you mean. Okay.
yeah, well, look at it. It literally says long before Liu Kang had won the Mortal Kombat tournament in Earthrealm, Sujinko had begun his quest to retrieve the Kami Goju for the Elder Gods. Now an ancient evil has returned from beyond death, threatening the very existence of the realms. Will the champion of the Elder Gods have the power to defeat the threat born of deception?
Yeah. I prefer the the cinematic that they have. Honestly.
I mean, if you want to pull it up real quick, we can just listen to it.
Yeah, sounds good. Hold on, just give me a second. Like I feel like I think this is probably the best one of all
Oh
the
yeah, by
intros.
far.
Like Armageddon's isn't bad, but this one is just phenomenal. Like just wow.
Oh yeah.
Okay, hold on a second. Mortal Kombat Deception intro. I'm sure you guys have already seen it if you're listening to this. There's no way in hell you haven't. But I definitely recommend you watch it alongside with us. Everything about it, just the graphics look great too. Let's see. All right, the one I'm putting on is by Game Clips. So shout out to
Okay,
Game
you want?
Clips.
Yep, right when you are.
All right. In 3, 2, 1, go.
It was not by chance that this struggle came to be. The blame falls squarely upon my shoulders for giving evil the chance it needed,
Another good
and
thing which I
therefore
haven't
fulfilling
fully
an
got to see
ancient
before
prophecy.
yet, but
Raiden's
you can see
Earthrealm
like the people.
champions had
You can
failed to
see
stop the
Jack,
deadly violence,
Sonya,
only resurrecting the
Kung
once
Lao, and
great army
Katana's
of the
bodies
Dragon
at the
King.
courtyard.
Yeah.
In the end,
You can see
only Raiden
the
and
battle
his
As
leading up
men
to
by
stood
it.
between Earthrealm and total destruction.
yeah.
Defying the
Well,
Elder
because that's
Gods'
one thing we
will,
didn't get to talk
fear
to you
no
about
more
as much.
challenged the
But
Bushi and
so
Shin
everyone
Sonya
did
in
fight the
Mortal
Deadly
Kombat,
Alliance, but
Earthrealm's
Johnny
last
Cage,
hopes of
Jax,
freedom.
and Sonya died by Tarkatans, where Katana and Kung Lao at least made to the Deadly Alliance first.
Yeah. I mean,
This
like,
is the best fight
yeah,
scene.
it's just fucking good, man. I'm about to say, like, the cinematics to it, it's just. If you think about this is 2003, you wouldn't expect this, would you?
Oh no.
I mean, like, if they could make a movie out of this, you know what I mean?
Well, this is what I mean. That's what everyone means. Like, everyone wants to see this like story be play out in a more another room storyline.
Yeah,
And
because
literally, the only reason why Raiden lost to this fight because of this scene right here, when Second Song literally have an infinite amount of souls.
Raiden fought well against the two sorcerers, and it seemed as though victory was at hand. But the combined might of Quan Chi and Shang Tsung proved to be
yeah, I just wish that they would definitely do like instead of story mode being where you fight cutscene, it just completely ruins the rhythm of it. It completely ruins the build up to it because you're always playing as the good guy, so you always know who's gonna win the fight.
the deadly alliance.
Well, that and also it's just like it's forced. Like something they're forced in fights.
Exactly. So if they would do it the right way, like this, but of course in a long format, make it an hour and a half, like a feature film, and you're gonna make everybody a lot happier than playing your story mode.
Their victory was short-lived. As suspicion and lust for power overcame both Quan Chi and Shang Tsung, the former allies turned on each other. The deadly alliance.
And that's why you can't be evil and be in an alliance mode. You don't trust nobody.
Especially when both of them have a history with each other.
No, they don't have a history with each other. That's the thing. It's not that big of a history.
I mean, according to the new games, they do, bro.
Alright, well, that's all the new games Second Song is dead long before this.
She defeated Shang Tsung and
MK9's all that matters, bro.
but it is said that there is only one.
And why the hell are we doing this now?
Suhao's the GOAT, bro.
Now this was like a crazy scene right here.
Yeah. People hate on Onaga, but I fucking love him.
I love him too. Like literally the whole army knew he was coming and that's why they still dropped down. The whole point though was that whoever has Shinnok's anime controlled the army. And even with Crunchy having, they just like think, oh fuck this guy, we trust him.
King had indeed returned to Outworld to reclaim his army and impose his dominance.
And this scene right here is badass too. And it gives you a scale of how fucking strong he is.
It's like a Care Bear stare though. And he just shrugs him off.
And so it was that a new alliance was formed out of desperation.
Dan was really good at making music back then.
Everything is just perfect in the scene, in this clip, this intro.
I mean, you feel like the emotion when it comes to it.
Raiden began to realize that even their combined might was not enough to defeat the Dragon King. There was only one chance left.
See, I always remember the blast, like the little lightning bolt that he throws was bigger than the way it really was.
Yeah, it seems you would think so.
I mean, it was constant. It was like concentrated electricity. I get it, but still.
Only I can destroy this threat, born of deception.
You know, I didn't know that was Sadigo till years later.
Really?
Yeah, I just didn't care, but still.
Well, regardless, just an excellent intro. One of the
yeah.
best things they've ever done.
But I think too, like it was just, and once you click on the game roster and you had, let's see, you have only 12 characters to pick from, and 4 of them are new. And it was just like, it was a different pace for a second. And like, all right, where's the Liu Kangs? Where's the Kung Lao? And it's like, oh. And like I said, I found out this part a decade later that, oh, these two are dead. Like, I didn't even know they all died yet.
Yeah, you thought they were just kind of like somewhere surviving.
Well, I didn't really follow it. Like I said, this is back when I said I don't like to read it.
Yeah, yeah.
And beating this game was almost impossible too. So
It was pretty rough.
Oh yeah, because they think you could make it past the entire tower, make it the sub boss, and that's what you have the most issues with, really. Because like the AI would cheese the hell out of you, and just like even when you think somebody was to switch in like out of noob and smoke, someone just like walk across the background like, wait, what the hell was that now?
Yeah, it was a pain in the ass. Like I'll never like even the Anaka fight itself was actually pretty difficult because I don't know about you, but it took me a while to figure out if I destroy the Kamidogus, then he gets weaker and he gets easier to beat. But for the longest time, I would just like I would beat him up as much as I can, and then I know like it took me a while. That's the bottom line. It took me for fucking ever to figure that shit out.
See, I knew that already. We knew that part, but it was just hard to beat in general because one thing I wouldn't learn until, really until 9 actually is your special moves do nothing to the special moves are just cool to look at. When it comes to the actual boss, that means nothing to them.
Yeah, they don't flinch.
Yeah, and even if they did freeze or whatnot, it doesn't do anything for them.
Yeah, and
Now,
like
on the topic of gameplay, though, seeing while we're talking about freezing,
yeah,
one of the extra things they did back then that I know was like you froze somebody with Sub Zero while they're already frozen, you'll freeze.
that's right.
Yeah.
That was always funny.
I mean, well, I haven't done a test on the trilogy era or a 4, but I tested with Deadly Alliance that confirmed it for me. So, like, all right, well, that sucks.
Yeah. And I just wanted to say one couple, touch on Onaga a couple more times. As I was saying, like, I never was able to get past when I originally played it. I was never able to get past the Sub-Zero part of Conquest mode. So the first time I ever fought Onaga was not in the story; it was in the arcade tower. So literally, I went in there like not knowing what the Kamidogu were in terms of what they meant to him and stuff like that. So it was that made it extra difficult for me. But and honestly, it took me a long ass time to beat him anyway.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and throw this out there now because you don't even need to play. You don't even. I wish. So I like the conquest mode for what it was. Don't get me wrong, like a little story mode, and you get to learn how to fight with each character, which is a lot better than what they do now. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like we don't care about the character as much, Chijinku, and B, I feel like it should have been more Armageddon conquest mode.
Mm.
And the fact, because I think you don't fight no one really unless it's like after Onaga reveals himself to you, you went to Earthrealm and hide out there. You can go back to the other realm, but you don't do anything else after that. Besides unlock characters.
Yeah, I can see what you mean by that. Armageddon had a bit more, replayability from that point of view.
Well, that's the thing too. After that, I mean, you do the same thing at Armageddon again. Don't get me wrong, but at least at the end of the story mode with Taven, you'll at least fight Blaze, and they say that canonically you win. But it doesn't do that way with Armageddon, only with Deception, where they could actually play off of that, so you know what's the actual canon ending, not wait until read the bios later.
Yeah, and I feel like something that they did a lot better in Armageddon, which we'll touch on more when we get to that, is the actual storyline itself. As in, yeah, it's not 100% canon because of course MK9 does a retcon type of thing. So, but up until following the events of it actually playing the game, it feels a lot better, I would say, than Shujinko with Onaga, because I feel like, as you mentioned, Shujinko doesn't really have a fan base. He doesn't really get beloved, and I think that there's two reasons for that. Number one, because all of his special moves belong to other people. He doesn't really have his own stuff. He doesn't really have his own style, so he doesn't develop into his own actual character besides his backstory. Number two is, as we've said a million times, most people understood, like, as long as you're not a kid. If you're a little kid, then fine, you're not going to understand it. But if you have, if you've seen enough stories and you've seen enough movies like that, you pretty much understood early on, especially because of the title of the game, that Shujinko was getting completely screwed over in his quest to get the Kamidogus. So I feel like he's an idiot, basically. Like, that's the whole gist of it. He's an idiot. He's stupid. So
I'd say at least gullible.
Sorry, what?
I'd say at least gullible.
At least gullible, yeah.
He was gullible for 60 plus years.
He never once thought, or he never once did something about it to really figure it out.
Well, here's the thing. There are numerous indications of this as well. One, the guy got really pissed off when you went to Outworld, and it's like, fake Emperor, please. Like, he didn't even know, he denounced Shao Kahn instantly. He also denounced Shao Kahn with such disdain in his voice, like, well, that's kind of worrying. But also, I think everyone else is like this as well. You're going to ask questions. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, if I had the power to absorb other people's training abilities, I will follow through, do my own thing, yes, but I'm at least going to ask questions, though. You want me to go where? To meet who? And say, what? Or what do I get out of this? To serve the elder? Yeah, that doesn't work for me. I've seen what the elder gods do. They are not that special.
Yeah, I mean, you go pretty much do some crazy ass stuff, and you don't even once think you know what? Give me a reason why I should be.
You literally go straight to hell after the first chapter, after you leave Earth.
Who in their right mind does that and doesn't ask a question? It made no sense, and that's definitely why I think he's never really gotten the love that this kind of game deserves. Is there anything else you want to talk about in terms of gameplay?
Chess and puzzle combat?
That's right, yeah. All right. What was your favorite between the two, by the way?
They're literally both equal for me. I think I will say this. No, I will say I like puzzle a little bit more now of what I know it is, and also I've never beat the whole tower of it, so I want to kind of do that still. But I like chess just because you finally get to see the fatalities if you know how to do them. Like, after you beat the king with the king, or if you just beat the king with anyone else, you get to see that winner's fatality. So that was one thing. It was a freeway 6 fatalities. Other than that, it was just regular gameplay. And I didn't learn to play chess until I actually played chess, so I'm going to say that even helped me with that. I like puzzle combat a little bit more. It's a lot more cartoony, don't get me wrong. But this is a nice different type of game to play. Like, we don't have to just fight. I know it sounds weird, but we don't have to just fight in video game.
Well, I mean, I feel like that's probably one of the best things about the game is that there's a lot of different things you can do. You figure you have regular arcade mode. You have, like you said, puzzle combat. You have chess combat. You have conquest mode, which really changes up the momentum of the game. You have the crypt. There's just so many different things you can do. And that's something that we're really, really lacking nowadays in our games. If you're playing MK11, all you can do is towers. You have the Towers of Time. Yeah, there's really nothing to it. There's story mode, but you're just consistently doing the same thing no matter what kind of quote-unquote mode you're playing. So I feel like Deception Armageddon did an excellent job in giving you different ways you can play the game, different ways you can have fun. As for which one I prefer, you said puzzle combat, and I see what you mean there. Like, it was actually pretty fun once you got good at it. There was some depth to it in terms of, like you said, you can get the fatality. I mean, not the fatality. Sorry, it had its own animation, so it all looked pretty fun. There were fatalities in there too, so it all looked cool. But I've never been a fan of Tetris, and that of course is basically Tetris, and so that kind of kept it a little bit lower for me. But chess combat, and I used to know how to play chess. I don't know how to play chess. I used to know how to play chess before I started playing Deception, so it's been a while since I actually played it, and played it the right way as opposed to just making up bullshit rules. But I did know the rules a little bit, and I like the fact that there were actually different classes too. Like you had the mages. There wasn't too much to it. Like it's not like the mage had these incredible powers, but he could use and do some power ups and stuff like that. So I thought it
Oh yeah,
was
exactly.
yeah. I always thought that was pretty cool. So I liked the depth of it, and I liked the idea behind it. So I always preferred chess combat more.
So who'd you play with really as in this game?
Who was my main?
Yeah.
Sub Zero and Scorpion. Pretty basic.
Literally, like it was hard to have one because as you unlock the characters, it opened up more avenues and ideas for you. But then at the same time, it's like I'm not gonna pretend like the gameplay was the best. It was still janky and kind of get used to. But it was easier for me to play these games than it was for me to play 1 and 2 and 3.
Oh, that's for damn sure.
Yeah, like it was still, it was still a little janky, but I still played it. I liked it.
That and it looked more modern, especially for the times. So it wasn't like you were just playing something that was just light years past at that point. Because like even the PS2 era, like compared to what we had in the early '90s, was completely absurd. So yeah, I definitely see what you mean there. But yeah, I also did like Bo Cho. I know that's not very very popular. I liked Bo Cho a lot, and I actually did like Zombie Liu Kang a lot too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another
So
thing too, I think Zombie Liu Kang is a good concept. Um, it was weird with a couple of things though. One with his chains, was mostly that was the biggest thing.
what you didn't
Because
like
he would
those?
use his chains. I ain't not like him, but so like his ultimate costume was him alive.
I hated that. Yeah.
So if they would went full throttle with the zombie aspect, or even the ghost aspect, um, put chains around him and make that his weapon instead, that was super cool to me.
I agree with that.
But yeah, Nunchuck instead.
Well, they kind of chicken out a little bit.
Well, that's the problem too. I mean, like there was always that issue where they would start to have a good concept and then it will um, chicken out the last second.
Yeah. They would not leave Liu Kang dead, and they wouldn't have him get married. They wouldn't do a lot of the things that would add more depth to the characters. They would just kind of play it
Now,
safe.
one thing I would definitely say, because we were talking about it earlier when you called me, you texted me earlier, and you saying like we want to do the story. When we were doing the story, I just like the problem. You're like pretty linear from there, so it's like all simple. It's like if only if it truly was that simple.
Well, I
Right.
mean, theoretically, as in like it just kind of depends on which way you go. Now, do you follow what we know actually happens leading, in the future or what? That's kind of the issue with it because the game, it's kind of done. It's kind of put together in an awkward way. So it does leave a lot of things open, and in this particular kind of format, it makes things difficult.
Well, so this one's based like kind of how they went back to the before was just the bios are like what's going on. One thing I will say differently though is, for example, how we talked about multiple times with Deadly Alliance, where they are like the same process where they have two different bios. They have two bios, alternate and the main one, and the main one was not the main one will like tell you what's going on now and then tell you who they were. On this one, like on Deception, I think they notice that, so they like take the like they explain who the person is first, Then they'll tell you what's going on right now. So pick a character for me to click on any of them.
Any character at all?
All right, not a new character because I don't want to
Okay.
be proven wrong.
Just go with Nightwolf.
Nightwolf. Okay. As a shaman of my tribe, my connection with the supernatural have been interrupted by visions of a dark presence. To confirm this foe, I have to assume the role of sin eater to absorb the sins of my tribesmen. I must embrace this corruption though I will eventually become a threat to those I care about. It is necessary evil if I'm able to save the realms. And then the next one turns explaining to him what this sin eater is and what Nightwolf's plan was going forward. But it says the sin eater ritual has corrupted my soul and will therefore allow me to enter the nether realm. There I will implement my plan to defeat Onaga. The sins I have absorbed will prisoner in my temperament. However, I have forced myself into exile until the test complete in the depths of hell. So I literally explains to you what he is a little bit, and then also what he's going to be doing in the game, what his role is.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. I've always kind of liked that system.
No, I like it too. Don't get me wrong, but it's similar to Deception, to Daily Alliance, where everyone has, in a bigger way though too, because everyone has a different role.
Yeah.
But my point being that though is for example, I know I read before we got on I started talking. I read Malians and Barakas, and it literally tells you a little about who they were on the first one and what happened. What happens to them the last time we saw them, and then it tells them what they're doing now. I respect that a lot more than tell us what's going on right now and then tell us that, oh, this is why I do this because I'm this way. Right? Make the personal first, then the mission.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But
100%. Give us a backstory and then tell us what actually happens to them. Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely better. So I guess that's kind of everything in terms of gameplay, extra modes, and our backstory. So I guess it's kind of time to... Is there anything else you want to talk about before we go into the characters and the stories?
No, this one didn't really give us anything.
Let's talk about the crypt first. But that's technically somewhat gameplay.
I was still on with the conquest mode.
Okay.
Yeah, which is because of the fact that the crypt there's not really much to it really, because you get most of your stuff from conquest this time around.
Yeah, I was compared to Deadly Alliance, because of course it's the second crypt. What did you think that they improved, and what do you think that content-wise they did better than any of the other crypts?
Let me see real quick. I'm still there, so let's see. Because I didn't really go into the crypt as much. I mean, let me look at the story board and stuff like that.
Yeah, because I personally actually really liked the crypt. I remember we were talking about Deadly Alliance a couple days ago. We were talking about it a little bit, and I felt like there was a lot of interesting things like cooking with Scorpion and stuff like that. But I think the best stuff about this one is that they started doing the bios where they would actually talk to the developers of the game. Ed Boon in particular was always interesting. Him and John Vogel, I think, were the best guys that they would show, and they would give a detail, not really a crazily detailed, but like a minute and a half video about each individual character. I don't think it was all of them, but it was definitely a decent portion of them.
Actually, no, it was all of them.
All of them, every single one of them. It was Armageddon where they didn't have all of them.
Yeah. Well, I was just right before we were talking today. I was just looking for something like that, and It literally like, has a playlist with all their combat cards.
Yeah, I loved that, man.
So that was a good thing to have. I will mention. I will say that. However, I think right now, like the art team for this one is just great. I will say that the art team for like, cause, and I say this because I'm still looking at the crypt. Um, if you go to your Morkmouth warehouse, you can click the crypt concept, like stuff that they have on the crypt.
Yeah.
And I clicked on the storyboards, and just like the sketches they made for this stuff was great. Like,
Put them up right now, yeah.
yeah. Well, because it's when they say storyboards, it's literally just the endings without the text.
Yeah.
But knowing what those really are and what they did is still like pretty really nice.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely looks great. And it was all interesting stuff,
Yeah.
too. And I like the costumes. Like, I guess, that's something we can talk about as we, for each character, as we kind of talk about their story and stuff like that. But the costumes in the game were great. The arenas looked great. It was just a great game all around.
Yeah. Let's say I will say this. So the one thing they did differently that I love, that we did both agree, is the combat cards for each character. You actually get to know the crypt, you get to know each character a little bit more. But other than that, the only thing the crypt really does is literally the same thing as. Only I like more about it is a lot smaller. There's no like empty caskets. I'm not saying there's a lot, but there's some empty caskets in there.
Those are always really, really frustrating because you spent, a hard, long time trying to unlock and trying to get as much coins as you could to spend them in there, and then you get an empty casket.
Yeah, that was only happening in Daily Alliance, but in Deception that wasn't like that. They made it smaller too, so instead of being at A to Z format, it was the A to T. So your x-axis will be A through T, and your y-axis will be A through T, and they'll only go as far as T as well. So it was really nice to see that.
Yeah, it was all really well organized, and of course you could just go online and find out where all the things that you wanted are instead of having to pray for RNG to give you what you wanted, that costume you've been waiting for months upon months, and just can't get it because RNG is bullshit.
Well, let me ask you this real quick. Did you have a system when you were going to the crypt on any of them before, or no?
Not when I first played it. I don't think so. No, not
See,
really.
we did. So well, nowadays, like, I know where to look behind the characters and stuff like that. But like before, we would do, because I grew up in a family of 5, so we would literally take each other's initials, for example, and just go to those places and see if they had anything.
Okay.
And you just like do that until you find something. So mine was CT. My sister was AT, and the other one's AT as well. So we'll try. All right. Well, since you guys both of you guys' names start with an A, let's do NT or AN or AS and AT. Or ST. Just like when you have like a bunch of initial stuff around you, you're able to like correlate these things with each other. They have nothing to do with each other, but it's something nice you can think about. It's like, oh yeah, this one was made for me personally.
Yeah, I do remember, like, one thing I did was I would go, like, Sub-Zero, okay, SU, I would try SU. Scorpion, SC, I would try SC. Johnny Cage, I would try JC. Stuff like that, but not really a system. That's just something that, I would kind of go off of, just, like, trying to see what would happen, and it was only, like, the first time, so never really had a real system. It was just kind of go with whatever came to me.
Yeah. See, I never thought about in that format of characters. I just always did like family stuff only. And after that, you just try randomly.
Yeah, that makes sense, to be honest. I can definitely see why you would do that. Just to add extra fun to it. Like, oh, wow. Like, DK has, Yeah, absolutely nothing interesting, which is just kind of perfect for me. Uh, all right, so I guess that's pretty much it. Unless, like, I would say conquest and the story are kind of hand in hand. So
Well, I say, yeah, conquest is different because it's literally conquest is literally a full time link from before the first tournament. Like literally, when you start the game, it's Jinko and his friends reenacting the Mortal Kombat tournament with the Great Kong Lao and
and Goro,
Goro.
yeah, yeah, fair enough.
So I think like the Conquest is just a glorified Easter egg hunt. There's some
Yes,
things in there that have actual value, but mostly I think you get your value from reading the bios. Because even some stuff I'm not fully understanding on what happened.
no, I mean, like, I think most people when they think of the story of uh of Deception, they pretty much always think about conquest mode. Um, of
Well,
course,
I
like you
would say this. I say this like this: Conquest is Jinko's story. It's no one else's.
exactly. That's the best.
I
That's kind
mean,
of the best way to put it.
well, here's the thing: Cobra, Kira, and Cabal have no real role in Conquest. Dairu frees you once you're in prison. Well, that's age 60. You beat up Darius one for the resistance for Utaro. Astra, you just learn about her and her little sword. Havoc teaches you about the Chaos Realm. New Saba has no role in this. Utaro, you're the bridge that gets him over to our world, that gets him to Onaga. That's just based off the new characters. Like he does, and then the characters you do see, it's just like the thing takes place so beyond before the first Mortal Kombat tournament, stuff like that, that they really don't have much of a role to it. Like Melina, you train with her, and I think she just like you ready to attack you because of the fact that you're like you don't really start getting into like more recent stuff until you meet Lee May.
Which is pretty far down the line, yeah.
Exactly. You when you meet and train Lee May for the Muhammad tournament. No, for the Daily Alliance tournament. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
After
Well,
that, though, everything else is pretty linear. Like this is we can definitely listen to it and watch it. I have another reaction thing because I've found a whole thing that doesn't have to do with you him playing. It's literally just Stinkle's cutscenes.
yeah, we can definitely do
So we
that
can definitely
alongside
do
the endings
endings,
for
but
yeah.
I said I don't see the unfortunately. So we can both read it again like we did last time. But as much as I would love, as much as I don't want to, this doesn't really answer any questions for us. Like going over Conquest.
Well, yeah, like I mean, like you said, like it's Shujinko's story more than the actual MK story in this case.
Granted, he is
So
the
that's the
hero,
problem with it.
but he is the hero, but there's so much more that's happening.
Oh,
Um, 'cause-
yeah, like there's so many side stories that it's a shame to skip over them.
well, a prime example would be Melina's, where the only time you see her is like way before, like just when you first enter Outworld. Now, that being said, her whole thing is they talked about who she is in her bio, and then this lyric goes on to the fact that after she confronted Katana in her MK4 ending, her Katana's MK4 ending, she was then put in prison underneath the castle. And then after a while, Baraka came and freed her, and pretty much said, "Hey, my new master, because your father's dead and the Daily Alliance failed. So Naga is needing your help to pretend to be Katana and lead her army, so Genia and the Outworld Alliance, away from Onaga, pretty much mislead them left and right. You can get that from Conquest.
Definitely not. So many things just kind of get left behind. So we'll definitely be covering them as we cover each character.
Not even like so many things. Like it's just a lot. Not so many. It's almost the entire everyone else. Like the new Black Dragon has no role in Conquest at all.
Yeah.
It's not a big story that I care about either. But it's like they have no role. And that's why I'm kind of happy that in Come Armageddon they didn't make a lot of bios, because that's just a lot to go over too. But you can literally watch you can watch the gameplay and the cutscenes from Armageddon, and that is the story. Like, you know, everything else happened already between now and then. But
yeah, all right. Well, I guess we should just go ahead and jump straight into talk about the characters themselves, right? Unless there's anything else you want to discuss before.
No, I think we hit everything else, so yeah.
All right. There are a bunch of new characters in Deception. There's 3, 6, 8, 9, right? No, sorry. There's 8 because Liu Kang is on the bottom row and he's not new. Yeah.
So how many rows are there? There's 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24.
Yeah, there's 24 characters and 8 new characters, yeah. So
130 roster.
Yeah, so I feel like that's a fair number. The only problem is that unlike MK4 and MK Deadly Alliance, the new characters that were added into the game don't really have any kind of a story. They have, like, you know, very basic and rudimentary intros, but really nothing happens to them throughout the story because it focuses so much on Shujinko and all that, and it takes forever to talk about something like that. So we'll just kind of we'll go into a summary mode a little bit later on, just to keep it not too long. I'm sure anybody listening to this has probably already played the story, and if any of you guys want, then we'll probably eventually do like a watch along or something like that of the actual cutscenes of Deception or something like that. So we will eventually cover it in more depth. But I guess right now what we're going to do is we're going to just talk about the individual new characters, starting off with Hotaru. I mean, not much to go off on him. Like, what do you think of him as a character to start off with?
Well, first of all, I'd say that he might have a little bit more story, just because of the fact he is the actual quote-unquote ruler, or like the highest person on the council of the Rim of Order. And without him, you don't get Havoc. So I kind of give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I will say that, like, I agree with you there. Like, him alone maybe isn't anything special, but because Havoc is, I think, one of the best characters that they added, him having a connection to him does make things better.
Yeah, I do like the grasshopper kick though from him.
Yeah, like he looks pretty cool. I'll give him that too. I like his armor and all that.
Yeah. No, like I said, he had a good look, and like I said, for what his moves were, because he only had 2 special moves. He looked pretty cool. I wish they would bring him back as well. Not as much as I feel about for Reiko, Fujin, and Havoc, but which that's the thing too. It's funny how those are always the 3 people that come up in the conversation.
Yeah, I think it's just because they're the ones that have the most to go off of, and they're also some of the more interesting from whether it's a story point of view, whether it's a gameplay point of view, whether it's potential in general point of view. And Hotaru, I feel like he's definitely one that could maybe sneak in there.
He hits the top 10.
Sorry, what?
He hits the top 10 at least.
For sure, because of this connection with Havoc. I feel like if you have one, then you can definitely have the other one, or you probably should have the other one.
Yeah, Or you can do the whole Cyrex and Sector treatment where they're not always in the same game with each other. At least they
Yeah,
weren't in the 3 era.
which isn't necessarily ideal, but you can work around it.
Yeah.
That's why, like, I
I
think I
mean,
think
or like
we've both kind of
American
said,
Kind of Molina.
yeah,
Or Heather, she was in the opposite game. Not saying every game has to be like that, but it's like you can do that occasionally. They don't have to be stuck with each other.
yeah. I mean, they are different characters. They aren't the same person. Yeah, they're connected, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be literally doing the same
Or
thing.
him.
Or you can also, if you don't want to have them both in the same game, then you can also just have them be mentioned in their intro or their bio, of their ending or something like that, and actually progress their story without the other one actually being a playable character. That's completely possible too. And I think that's something that we've both kind of said before, is that if we eventually get a game that's set up in the Chaos realm and the Realm of Order, that'd be kind of cool, wouldn't it?
Yep. If they can actually do the characters right, because I mean, for what the game may have seemed like he was evil for working with Onaga, but he wasn't evil though. He respects order. So whoever brings out the most order, he'll follow that code.
Yeah, he's just doing what he feels is best for his people and for his beliefs. He's neutral. He just does what
Well, that's the
he's
thing.
like Scorpion. He does whatever is best for him.
Yeah. Well, I can see him being more of the lines of um. If we had a Mortal Kombat tournament, he would probably be the Shao Kahn to Chaos Realm,
Mm-hmm.
trying to take it over to bring order to it.
Yeah.
Technically, that's what he did. Actually, he went and put um, devices on restricting their water.
That was
That's
his
literally
whole
what he
plan, yeah.
did. Well, that's not. He had all that more to do, but it's like, how are you going to control someone else's water? That's
It's
why they hated him for one.
it's fucked up to do too. Like, of all the ways you could do something like that, fucking with their water, that's brutal. And it just kind of
But
goes to show you he's definitely not a good guy or a bad guy.
yeah, he's definitely not a good guy,
Yeah,
but you kind of respect him for what um, he is,
for sure.
which is like a man of order.
Absolutely.
But other than that, though, pretty much his bio condensed to the point where he lives in the realm of order, Sato, and he came over to our world when Jinko brought him there to help the Lei Chin, I believe it is. Yeah, Lei Chin. And after that, he puts you in jail years later. Yeah, Hotaru was not somebody you want to bring to a party at all.
Definitely not.
Okay. All right,
All right.
Asha.
All right. Now move on to Asha, of course. Well, what do you think of her though? Like, oh, actually, before we move on, we should talk about the costumes. Which costume do you prefer for Hotaru? I mean, it's really the same
Hotaru
thing.
without.
Only one's wearing the helmet, the other one's not.
Yeah, without the helmet, I like better.
Yeah, I think so too. The other one's just kind of, a little bit too much.
Well, it's just adding one piece of equipment, but I can kind of see why they did that. Just because you had to fight a bunch of the Sato guards and
Yeah.
the Chaos Realm, so they had to have like a generic. Instead of making a whole new character and finding moves for, at least use the same character and just have this be the armor for it. So I get it, but it was pretty much made for the Sato guard and not Kotaro.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like it's not bad. It's just literally adding one little piece to his costume.
Yeah. So I guess it's not Kotaro though. When I look at it as that's just the uniform for the
Yeah.
guards.
Yeah. I can see that for sure.
But
All right, Ashra. So, I mean, Ashra's whole thing is that she is essentially a demon from another realm, and she has a sword that basically, what was it called? The Chris? Is that what it was called?
yeah, I believe so, Chris.
Yeah, and the Chris is to purify. She can use it to purify demon souls essentially,
Yeah.
and
Pretty
getting
much
her.
is what it makes.
Sorry,
She has like a similar backstory to like Serena,
yeah,
where she serves Quan Chi and did whatever she had to. She finds pretty much a plot device, and Serena's version is Bihan, but for her it's a sword, and she tries to get out of the Netherrealm. One one person has to kill people, the other person just finds the same guy's brother years later. But literally, that's the whole thing though, is that she's just killing people in another realm, and she figures like if she can kill a new Cybot, that she will be free from Netherrealm forever.
yeah,
Which is good, but that's literally all she has.
yeah, and easier said than done too. Noob is noob.
Yeah, but he's new for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of people did think that she was a female Raiden though when she first appeared.
Yeah,
And looking
I
at
could
both
see that.
costumes, yeah, she looks like Raiden. Like alternate two with he doesn't have the hat anymore. I mean, we got Dark Raiden now, so kind of, and she has light based powers, and she does a little torpedo, the Superman torpedo thing. So it's like, I mean, Dark Raiden might as well have a new reincarnation of Raiden now.
There's definitely a lot of
But
similarities,
there's so many similarities, dude.
and
But
that's
my
not
thing
really a
is like,
bad
so
thing.
what? Oh yeah. My only question would be, did she? What was her powers before she started killing the demons?
Yeah, that's never mentioned, right?
No, it's not.
Nothing
But
about
it's
her.
something
No.
to think about, though. Because like, you can't just have like all like heavenly light, lightning blast, spin cycle maybe, and nature's torpedo. But you can't have like light based powers and be evil. I mean, you can, but you would think otherwise.
Well, unless she was somehow corrupted, kind of like Dark Raiden, and she went down that path or something like that. That would kind of be the only explanation for it. But it's one of
Yeah.
those things where, in an eventual reboot, because I'm pretty sure that's probably what they'll do now. It'd be
Yeah.
interesting maybe if they go far back enough to where they can explain a lot of these characters right here that are introduced in Deception.
One thing is for sure that I didn't realize how much of a following she really truly had, just because of the fact when I brought MK11 at my old job, we had a game station, we had a game room as well. And when we did it, my cousin's like asking, "Is Asher in this game?" Like Asher's been in, I mean, realistically one game over a decade ago. So no, she's not. But it's just one of those things that maybe people and some people online actually like Asher too. Not saying I don't, but it's just I think if they explain more of a backstory for her versus just saying, "Oh, I used to work for Quan Chi, now I kill demons," could be a little bit better.
Well, I feel like there's always room for a demon slayer in whatever media it is. If we're talking about something that involves combat, then I think demon slaying is always something you could portray in a lot of different ways. And you can,
Mm.
I mean, just look at, I don't know, like Castlevania, Doom, all these things where you're in hell and you're killing demons. I mean, like literally, there's a shit ton of different things where that happens. So if they can do it the right way, and another realm has always been pretty interesting. I think it's one of the top realms in terms of things that we want to see in games, actually well done. Then I feel like they can definitely do something, especially because they've mentioned that there are a bunch of different planes, much like Dante's Inferno. So they could technically, if they want, they do a game like Shaolin Monks. They could actually set up in the Netherrealm.
Yeah.
So there's
One
plenty of
thing I would
stuff.
say though, one thing I'll say to all of that though is because I thought about it when before we knew what that everything happened with MK11 happened, that maybe Asha could have came back and that could have been her little arc to like you want to root for her because you want her to be saved from the Netherrealm, but it's also like she's hunting down all the revenants, or she can have a way to help purify them as well, at least some of them. That was the idea I had before we knew anything about MK11, but that would have been a good storyline there too.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of people. I don't think that's the first time I've heard somebody say that. And I don't think it was. I think it was maybe with another cast they were talking about something similar.
Oh yeah,
So I
other
mean,
cuts, Russ.
yeah, yeah,
The list of people who could have said is endless
it
because
makes
everyone was
sense.
just thinking like, all right, MKX is over. We have evil revenants and emperor and empress and stuff. So, and how and they pretty much killed their quote unquote plot device, Quan Chi, to bring back the other revenants. But who else do we know that used to be a demon that is no longer a demon from old games? And that's the only person we can think people can think of is Ostrom. Like, I mean, yeah, she gets a better story. She gets a big role. I would say Serena, but she's still technically a demon, so she's pretty much like the equivalent of Scorpion, and she just deal with her, who she is. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it was pretty much perfectly set up for Ashford to come out and make a difference and actually have a role. But as they tend to do in NetherRealm slash Midway, they fucked it up. All
Well, I
right,
don't think that I hate to say go on this ramble and end it right here, but I don't think they care too much for the 3D era characters.
definitely not. I feel like they feel like that was an entire that entire sequence of games was a failure, and they're trying to get rid of them as a thing as a whole. I think that's probably why in one of the intros you could see Su Hao's head. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of references to that era being completely dead.
Yeah.
So before we move on to the next
Okay.
character, which costume do you prefer?
Hmm. I say the hat on. I
Yeah.
like the hat off as well, but I think that the alternate costumes I don't really use them as much unless they're like super cool. So her outfit is pretty much the same, just with the hat off.
Well,
But
she's also not wearing pants in the second one, in the alternate. If you,
I'm not a 13-year-old boy, so that doesn't.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no reason for her not to be wearing pants. I would just, as far as I know, that's why I prefer the primary as well.
Yeah.
Like there's like this, like Total MK. I've said this a few times. Like he is one of, I would say he's probably my favorite when it comes to talking about Mortal Kombat on YouTube and but for some reason like he's gone on this just huge tangent of how Mortal Kombat female characters no longer have their tits out and their legs out. They're no longer wearing thongs, and that it's like somehow NetherRealm going down the wrong path of political correctness. And I don't know. I feel like between you know, fucking as they say in Scorpion's Revenge, between bad language and some other things, I would definitely say that they're going the political correct route. I just feel like I think the times of women in fighting games being dressed as basically strippers has kind of come to pass.
Yeah.
At least
I mean,
especially for
there's just
us.
no need for it either, especially when there's no reason for it.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
if it's not character development or if it's not a plot device, there's no point. That's the whole thing. I want things to make sense.
if it's Melina, sure, that makes
Yeah, I
perfect
mean, it
sense.
makes sense.
But Sonya,
Who else?
etc. No.
That's- well, so it's like the whole thing with the movie, the original movie, where why is Sonya in a dress now?
Yeah,
They
that
would
was
say
always
something
weird.
after
Yeah.
he puts her in the dress. And also another thing as well, where did Sonya get new clothes in the second movie?
I never asked myself that, and I don't think the people who made the movie ask themselves that either. To be honest with you, I
It
don't think they
literally
asked
happened
many
right
questions.
after they got out. It wasn't like it happened weeks later, months later. No, as soon as they leave the tournament, they're like I understand she had like the black tank top and shorts or pants, but as Bridget Wilson did, but no, she has camel, uh, not camel. She have like greenish, khaki cargo shorts and a white tank top.
Yeah. Didn't make too
So,
much sense now.
and I don't know where you get for how you go from black to a brown dress to that, but okay, let's go for it.
Whatever works, right?
All right, come on, let's rip this band-aid off now, dude. We know
All
why we're
right,
doing this.
fine. Next up, we have the goat, aka the. I'm not gonna say it. All right, I'm not even gonna say it. I don't want to go. I don't want to take it there. We're gonna go with Dairu. All right, so, I don't even want to talk about this guy. You go ahead and break him down. I can't bring myself to do it.
You make it so much fun. Well, Diary, guys, is Diego's favorite character of all time. He's the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
Yeah, he is. I mean, you compare him to Bret Hart. I compare him more to Stone Cold Steve Austin because this guy came into our lives. He wreaked havoc. He rose hell. And then he just kind of disappeared and has never come back. Maybe he will. Stone Cold every once in a while does go back to the WWE from based on what I can tell. I don't watch it, but I know he does. He does every once in a while go back. So maybe Dairu will make that appearance that we're all waiting for. Somebody this fucking
for.
amazing, right?
No, so pretty much Dairu's whole backstory is that he used to be a Saiyan guard for the Realm of Order. And he has pretty much he was. I'm trying to see what put him in jail. I was arrested, but when I killed an assailant to fit in a fatal race, so he killed someone by accident.
Yeah.
He was sentenced to life in jail. After that, he becomes pretty much a paid assassin. He does one thing inside the actual story mode that quote unquote matters, but it's literally like a plot device that gets you from the Realm of Order to get you the Realm of Order Kamigoku and take you to Edenia. After that, he doesn't really do anything of importance. The only thing he can say what he's after though in his little story arc is to someone paid him to kill Hutaro.
Yeah. Like on paper, he doesn't have a terrible backstory. Like it's not horrible, but I don't know.
I mean, his story is literally guard himself in grace.
Yeah.
Like never like in grace. He was falsely imprisoned.
Well, I thought it was falsely. He was he killed somebody.
It was over. It was the charges were overdone.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
But it's like the downside to the Realm of Order. Like on paper, the good realms will be Edenia, Earth, and Realm of Order, and the bad realms will be Outworld, Chaos, and another realm. The whole point of Chaos and Order is there's so much gray area that you can't just look at one all the way good, all the way bad.
Yeah, it's kind of like, in a weird way, it's like extreme capitalism. Extreme communism with like extreme fascism or something like that. It's polar opposites, but, they each have ways in which, you can really, like, there is no such thing in life of completely good or completely evil. There is no, black and white. It's literally so many different things. It depends on your point of view and all that stuff. So you could see why, if you're looking from a purely order point of view, then yeah, if you kill somebody, you should go to jail, and you should probably be in there for a long time. But at the same time, I guess it kind of depends on the context, and because Mortal Kombat isn't real life, it's a completely different thing, and death and murder and brutality, all that stuff is just kind of the way things are. But yeah, regardless, I don't know. I've always hated this guy. Like everything between his look, his story, his gameplay was shit. What were his moves? Let me pull them up real fast. His moves were the Tombstone Drop, Stealthy Shadows, and Iron Leg. So, just the names of his moves.
I remember none of them. So
yeah, just fucking shit, just garbage. Like most people, almost every character you can remember at least one or two moves. Dairu literally couldn't remember anything. He's just base. He's just generic.
I literally can say I remember Darius moves more than I remember Dyer, and I never played with Dyer at all. I can promise you
Yeah,
that.
yeah. That's saying something. I mean, like I give shit to certain characters, but nobody comes close to this piece of shit right here.
Well, that's the thing too. It's not the character has potential, as you just said alone. It's just the way he was written, and the 3D era, pretty much the moves were limited. So he is for right now. Well, everything else we know, yeah, he's shit. But it's not to say that he can be rewritten in a better light.
Well, yeah. I mean, like literally every character
I'm
could
pretty
be
sure that we can
fixed.
rewrite. I think if me and you actually sat down and wrote something out, we could come up with something good. But like I said, this character right now, the one we're talking about right now, Deception. Yes, he's a shit character.
Absolutely. I feel if you make a couple of modifications to his backstory, why he got imprisoned, why he would have, you know, specific reasons to go kill Hotaru and stuff like that, then I think there is something there. But literally every character on the roster, if you make a few tweaks here and there, they can be really good. I mean, look at Stryker. He went from
Oh
being
yeah.
just this chubby cop to somebody that a lot of people want to see in DLC and things like that. So if they can make Stryker cool, they can literally make anybody cool.
Yeah.
All right. Costume wise, they're both shit. Let's just put it that way. I guess the primary is better for me.
I would say the same thing because of the fact that I never even touched nor would want to touch the other one, the alternate.
Yeah, no reason to. It doesn't look any better than the primary, and it's just yeah, it is what it is. Dairu is just an absolute failure. All right, shall we move on to Cobra?
Let's do it.
All right, so I've always had a disliking for Cobra too, just because he is pretty much Ken from Street Fighter. Like literally
Super Street
everything
Fighter or Cobra Kai?
or what?
Cobra Kai.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, basically same thing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I mean, what was his? I don't even remember what his backstory was. That's how fucking garbage he was.
Let's see. I always wonder the martial. Pretty much in a brief moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry guys, if you hear Thomas coughing a little bit, he's not feeling great. So bear with us. I remember if you guys remember last year, I spent like 3 full months not being able to breathe. So it's no big deal. Cobra. So basically, Cobra.
Was the best in his class when it came to the martial arts, but he pretty much wanted to be able to actually hurt people, and they wouldn't let him. So get found by Cabal, and he joined the Black Dragon.
Smart move, right?
It literally says towards the end of his bio on the second page that when some
When
I
some
was
chick.
heard some officers shooting and firing their guns when some chick and a masked guy with bloody hook sword stepped into the light. I knew that I was in company of friends.
Yeah, that's a real genius right there, man. But yeah, I guess
Like I
he's
said, he
not much
was
to.
pretty much Ken. Even like the fire, he didn't do fireballs like Ken. He had a teleport punch. That's new. I didn't know that. But it's one of those characters like who you just didn't play with, though.
Yeah, I feel like he was a character they just kind of threw in there, and they made him the opposite of Ken, Ken from Street Fighter, just to kind of like mess with him a little bit, just to kind of
So it's not.
poke fun at him. Yeah.
Well, just say like it's people like if your approach use Ken, like no, it's not. Ken was good. This guy is evil. I'm like still Ken.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same thing. Just change his story a little bit. So not that Ken has really much of a story in Street Fighter anyway. Like nobody in Street Fighter has much of a story. But
There's
yeah,
you, I just don't want to follow.
I mean, like I tried. I gave it a shot and could not get into it.
Okay, we'll do it one of these days.
Yep.
When we and clear mean we. All right, next band. Well, I prefer the first one. A lot of these characters, I just prefer the first one. Like the alternate wasn't as good as people think it could have. They thought it could have been. But
Yeah, I'm not a fan of either one. I think the alternate is probably worse, in my opinion, anyway. All right.
you said
Sorry, what?
you ready? So you ready?
Yeah, let's go with it. Can you do this one, please? That's just the
What?
intro for this motherfucker. I'm getting a heart attack right now. I'm getting sick.
So now you're talking like Darius, and if you heard anything from the past, Diego does not like him. He does not like him at all.
Yeah, shocker,
He
right?
doesn't like him in the house. He doesn't like him with the mouse. Not in the car. He doesn't care where he are. I really fucked up. What rhymes with car?
Bar, scar, car.
Car.
Yeah,
You said
far,
car rhymes with car.
maybe.
Did you really just say car rhymes with
I
car?
mean, it does technically.
Okay.
If it's like car with a K.
God, I hate
Hey man, I'm
you.
just trying to cover my ass.
Pretty much Darius is pretty much quote unquote a terrier slash the resistance of the realm of order. I know you have nothing to say, so I'm just gonna go ahead and go from there.
Yeah, do your
Just
thing.
try to plan somewhat of a delay. But the whole point with me saying that though, is this is like literally the point of view where I'm talking about. Like the realm of order has some potential, just if the character will look a bit cooler, not super generic, and have more of us. We have more faces than just this one person. We got three people from the realm of order. We got Hutaru, who was a guard, which we like. We have Daru, and literally, I usually get Daru and Darius confused with each other because of the fact that I knew they're both from order, but I just didn't care. But the Daru is just a fallen guardsman. Wait. Yeah. So we know who hired Daru though now. If you read the second page, it says recruitment tools. One of the best recruitment tools I have is discovering the law itself. If my ranks need a powerful Satan-like guardsman, for instance, I will hire an outsider to kill the man's family and hope that his rage, motherfucker.
Will lead to a
Okay,
violent
no, he got this.
altercation
I like this
with the
character though.
assassin.
I like this. Go ahead and finish now.
Alright, once he is imprisoned for the attack, I free the Satan guardsman and easily recruit him to our cause. Which is Dairu, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that alone, like I said, on paper, we don't know. I know nothing about Darius, but reading this, like, oh shit, this guy's a badass. A little
Yeah.
bit, but not much, but still.
I mean, that's the problem though. Like on paper, they aren't horrible. You can work with them. It's just the execution and the fact that they don't go anywhere that really, really makes them bad. And
So
especially
here's the
you
problem.
add, Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say. Then you add in the fact that they look stupid. Then it just makes it worse and worse.
But here's the thing, though, too. It's not any of these characters' fault. I realize just now.
It's the writing
It's
for sure.
literally no, not in the writing. Because like this is good writing right here. Like this is literally all we really had for characters at this point. Who was the POV we had of the story mode?
Shujinko.
Exactly. So literally, if these people don't have like a direct line with Jinko, then it doesn't matter how good their story is at this point. You weren't going to know this about it unless you read it yourself.
Yeah,
That's literally
that's probably the biggest issue with the game is that, or is the fact that it's so focused on one person that if you don't really go look for stuff, then you're not really gonna notice too much about the individual characters.
I mean that's the whole thing we don't like about the story modes now. So they've been doing this story mode kind of thing since 2004. I mean, yes, if you go read on your own, you can find some pretty cool stuff like we are learning now. I mean, I feel like low key, other than his look, you don't hate Darius as much now.
I mean,
a little less. You hate him a little less now.
I mean, compared to Dairu, he's a fucking god, but that doesn't make him great. Like, I read these bios a long time ago, so I remembered that vaguely. I didn't remember it, exactly what it was. But I mean, I don't know. I think that the biggest problem for me is that I don't like him as a character, and they dressed him up as Williams from Enter the Dragon, and that just, I don't know, that's sacred to me, and it's just, I don't know, it just kind of pisses me off. It's hard to explain.
Now, the one thing I will say I hate about the Realm of Order, though, at least what they did with the Realm of Order, go down to his ending.
Okay.
Go to the second page. Now.
Yes.
What do you notice there?
The fact that, let's see. Are you mentioning the fact that there's like 3 black guys? Or
that
what?
The Resistance is just black guys.
Yeah.
So it's like
they're race baiting.
Yeah, they made this whole thing into a race war.
That I didn't notice. Good lord, man.
Yeah, you know, the other day I saw this, like, oh, fucking A.
Fucking hell, man. They just, yeah, it's so stupid, man.
Say, unfortunately. Now, one thing I will mention as well now, this is, until we get to Jackie, this will be the only other new black character we'll get. When I count the black characters in Mortal Kombat, I know I shouldn't, but just as you kind of do when you try to explain to other people, not in a mean or mad way, just in general, I always forget about Kai and Darius.
Yeah, they don't really do much. So.
I can remember Kai on my own after a little bit, but I will forget about Darius every time.
Yeah.
But like I like Darius a little bit more now, but it's just like the execution was just not there for being. The game was made 2003, and there wasn't much there though.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like one of their biggest problems was, like we mentioned before, is that this was a time where they were releasing a game a year. So not only did they really not have any time to go and make innovations to the game's combat system and all that stuff, but they also didn't really have.
They did a little bit.
Sorry, what?
So they did that a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit though. I mean, like the gameplay from Deadly Alliance to Armageddon largely remained the same. But I feel like they didn't really have enough time to, really develop the games long enough to actually give meaningful parts of the story scene from Shujinko's point of view to all these characters. So we're just kind of stuck with these short little bios and a short ending, kind of giving a little bit of insight into who they are. So we never really got the opportunity to see too much, especially because then the next game was Armageddon, which is largely, all bullshit, non-canon stuff when it comes to endings and stuff like that. So, yeah, I feel like they were just kind of always set up to fail.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But costume-wise, which one do you prefer?
B.
Mm.
I don't like it still, but it's like I prefer that one over the extra. I don't know. I feel like the rebels you shouldn't have uniform. That's literally what it looks like, the uniform. Or like if you're the leader of the rebels, you should have something different from them. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
it's just a little bit too elaborate, too weird looking. It just kind of looks like he's wearing tires all over his shirt, all over his
Yeah.
whatever it is on the front. I mean, I think definitely aesthetically the secondary is better. The fact that it's based off of Williams doesn't mean that it's a bad looking costume. It's just I think it's kind of an insult to him. All right. So next up we have Kira.
Kira.
Yeah. Kira, of course, the latest to join the Black Dragon.
She was actually the first to join Cabal's Black Dragon. I just read,
Oh, really?
but yeah, that's what I was just reading because the new Black Dragon literally was only three people: Cabal, Kira, and a Cobra. First of all, why does all of them names have a K in it? Start with the K.
Hmm. Never thought about that, but there could be something there,
I just
especially because
did
you figure
now.
Kano too.
Well, Kano's apparently dead to people still. No one
No, I
knows
mean like,
Kano's alive apparently.
what about the? Yeah, I mean like in general, the Black Dragon back from when Kano was running it, were they all K? It was Kano, yeah, Kano
No,
and Cabal. Who else was in there?
Kano, Ball, Jarrett,
Yeah, that's right, Jarek.
Kazuya, No Face.
Yeah, that's right. Well,
Yeah.
I guess you're right. No Face and all those bums, yeah. But for the other, almost all with a
Yeah.
K.
Just two out of five of them.
Yeah.
This is a whole new Black Dragon. They have nothing to do with Kano or anyone else from before,
Yeah, yeah.
besides Cabal. But let's see. I'm finishing up the second half now.
By the way, just to give you guys shout out to Jim Kelly. He died a few years ago. He's the one that played Williams. I think he was underrated. So for them to have Darius in there having his costume, it's just like fucking just wow. Anyway, Kira. Sorry about that random little tidbit. Yeah, like I don't know. I feel like Kira. I think the second Black Dragon, the new Black Dragon in general, is probably better than Kano's. I feel like Kano's was literally just about the same thing over and over and over again, whereas which was basically just selling guns or selling weapons and stuff like that. Whereas the new Black Dragon, they have much bigger ambitions. Literally, they want to bring upon basically the destruction of all things. They're kind of like the Chaos Realm, as in they want anarchy, but to the extreme, I would say. They don't just want to cause chaos. They want to literally basically destroy the world.
I can see that a little bit. I do have something to counter that though. Before you say that, before
Okay.
we go on with that. But let's go ahead and finish up Kira, and then we can start with the new character. The old characters, and then I'll tell you. We'll come back to the whole thing right there. But Kira is literally just the first recruit of the Black Dragon. She was selling weapons in Afghanistan, and Cabal saw her, and he decided to add her to his group. She's literally like when they made the character, they said she's literally was a copy of Sonya. Take Sonya and Kano moves and put it in one.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's while I'm thinking about that right now.
I
Too.
mean, yeah. I mean, her moves
So,
are the Black Dragon Ball, Kiss of Death, which of course is Sonya, and Nightshade. I don't remember what Nightshade is, but yeah.
and she has Kano's weapons as well, the butterfly knife.
Yep.
Let's see.
She's dressed kind of like Sonya.
Mm-hmm. That's debatable. I will say one thing as well. Um, when MK11 came out, everyone was getting mad because Lecter saying that he stole Melina's move fatality.
Yeah.
Melina stole Kira's fatality from Deception, the first one.
Yeah, yeah.
Where in MK9, pretty much in this one, she throws two knives at your feet and she just rips your body apart. That's literally what Melina does in MK9.
Well, I mean, to be fair, it seems like there's a lot
But
of
you'll never hear
move
Melina
stealing.
fans say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like there's a lot of fatality and just move stealing in general from a lot of these characters. Like Jarek was literally Kano, etc. So
Yeah.
nothing too surprising there.
Well, I would just say that in general. Like, just you never hear no one mention when their favorite character steals moves. It's like Goku, whereas like he steals everyone's moves.
Yeah.
Everyone's like he's the best. Like, no, you literally stole all your moves from other people.
Stole the
Even one move, you got
Kamehameha,
from being sick alien.
the Spirit Bomb from Okai. Yeah, well, pretty much steals from everybody. But I guess that's kind of how you learn. Like, you don't, in most things, you don't just, you aren't just born either good at something or having the knowledge of something. So that's not too problematic for me. But if you're going to complain about somebody stealing moves and you're a Melina fan, then you kind of should definitely shut up. But Melina fans are a special breed of person. I don't think we should talk too much about them. What about costume wise? Which one do you prefer for Kira?
I think the first one because it's less slutty. I don't think that the girls don't have to be as slutty in the games, even back then.
Yeah. I agree with you on that, but I would say that I prefer the primary because I don't like the hair at all in the secondary.
Wait, hold. No, man, I think that right. That's the first one or second one.
You said the first one.
All right, good. So the primary, good.
Yeah. The secondary has like this just bullshit haircut, and I don't like it at all. The rest of it is
let me see your
okay.
manager haircut.
Huh?
Let me see your manager haircut. That's what she has.
Basically, yeah. It's trash. So, hats off to whoever designed that.
If you were, like, she literally reminded me of like a version of Cassie if she with red hair.
Yeah, fair enough.
First.
Fair enough. I think the only character left is Havoc among the new ones.
Yep.
Yep, that's it. Okay.
I'll let you go and do that kind of typing something now for loss.
All right, sounds good. So essentially, Havoc is the opposite of Hotaru. His whole thing is he wants to basically send everything into chaos. Now, he doesn't really have a side. He doesn't pick sides. Him and Hotaru both have that in common, is that they're not good or bad, at least, depending on your point of view, then they could be good or bad. But they don't pick a side. The only thing that they care about is, furthering their goals, furthering what they want for themselves. And basically, the entire thing for Havoc is chaos. He basically led the, as he puts it, heroes, because everything in the intros is said in first person, so it's them talking about themselves. And his whole thing is he led the heroes to the Dragon King, and then of course that battle would lead to an extreme amount of chaos, which would of course favor what he wants. And that's basically that's pretty much all that really happens there with him. I guess you could say that the kind of the thing that's, like you said, that puts Havoc against Hotaru is the whole poisoning the water situation. The fact that Hotaru and the Order Realm are trying to make the Chaos Realm a more orderly place, make things a bit more stable, which is definitely the opposite of what they go, because they actually see disorder and chaos as a religion. So there's a lot, I think, to those two realms that can be explored, and there's a lot of it that could be really, really, really interesting. And that's definitely why I think that among all the realms in Mortal Kombat that we haven't been to, this is, I would say, the most interesting. Then of course the Order Realm could fit, and you could say we've been there because technically in Conquest mode you do go to both, but I would argue that you don't get to see too much of them. So I think down the line I would love to see something based in one of those two realms, or even both, if possible.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Um, and that's the thing too. A lot of people were excited at first in the comics when it came to when we got Havoc there until they saw what they did with him, where it made him actually like a villain, where he is when he is like literally like an anti-hero, but not a hero at all.
Yeah,
He's completely neutral.
I personally was extremely excited when I saw that. I was like, fuck yeah, man. Havoc's gonna come back. It's gonna be great. He's gonna be doing his own thing. He's gonna be trying to.
When
Yeah,
we make him the main villain, that's when you kind of realize like there's an issue with this.
yeah.
I mean, I read the comic and enjoyed it the entire time because of the fact that you'll do what you can, but you take what you can get. But at the end of the day, it doesn't bother me either way.
Well, I think the biggest thing is that when those comics were coming out, we didn't really know, and we'll talk about that more when we discuss MKX. But we didn't know that it was gonna be, pretty much bullshit. Like the comics, that the comics weren't gonna be
Yeah, the
completely
comics
canon.
don't even like, go in line with each other. So
Yeah,
yeah.
so that was unfortunate, but it is what it is. All right.
So
Now I
before we
guess
go on to,
yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
well, I don't even want to talk about Jinko just because, like I said, his whole thing is literally can be explained through the watching the story mode, which we're going to end up doing. But just to close it up, to sum it up pretty much, well, costume wise, I like the first one, first of all.
Yeah, the second one is actually really good, but I think it's too similar to Ermac.
You said what?
I said I like the secondary too. I do prefer the primary, but I think the secondary is good, but it looks too much like Ermac.
Yeah. No, that's the funny thing too. I figured, okay, I think you should have said that it was reminding you too much of New Cyber. That's what that original was supposed to go to
Yeah,
originally.
yeah, I can see that too. That's for damn sure.
Like that whole Cabin was just a mistake of a character. Well, not a mistake of a character, but like he was not supposed to go. That whole costume was supposed to go to New Sci-Fi, but they went with the reef, the one they came up with, and made this there. Well, we have this cool costume, this cool concept. Let's use it. So it's literally one of those situations where you have a joke of a character, like, oh, mistake, and it's like, well, this mistake actually got a huge cult following, and now they want you to put them in the game, and still waiting. The one thing that worries me though is um, when it comes to the characters in old games, when you see them in the endings, or you see them as not them, but you see like their name as the consumables,
Yeah,
it kind of makes me think that they're not going to be in the game at all.
yeah, that's true. Once you do stuff in there, it's like, just referencing them so that they can kind of say that they are sort of in there
Yeah. Well,
in a way.
I think a lot of people don't want to believe that. But one thing I want to say before we moved on to everything else, because we're on the whole Black Dragon topic. If you read Kano's ending, it says this. With the defeat of Goro and Sing Song, Kano brings on his own brand of treachery to the tournament. His Black Dragon organization formed a monopoly over the contest and brings shame to the tournament to all those involved. The reign will end in anarchy and death. It will result in the final dismantling of the tournament and the bout of the Suns. So all that I don't really care about, but the fact that I said like the Black Dragon kind of was like always that, like they wanted to pretty much cause chaos as well. So it wasn't like he sold weapons and stuff, but that's always the Black Dragon as a whole always was like anarchy. That I want to make sure that I was
Okay.
you knew. So even back in Kano's period, it was like that.
Okay, all right, my bad then. My bad, guys.